Disclaimer: anyone that comes in interaction with me is subject to be a topic on my podcast.
Welcome to Dirty Datini. I'm your host, Christina Kane. This is the unfiltered podcast that takes you through the dirty truth of dating, modern romance, relationships, and most importantly, self-discovery. Remember, love isn't always neat, and sometimes life is on the rocks, but it's sure worth the mess.
Okay, so I don't really know how to start this episode because it's not my typical run of the show. As much as I want to be giving you advice, tips, tricks, all the intel that I possibly can, I only think it's fair that I also share my dating life and my dating trials and tribulations with you. So, I'm going to be introducing a new series, which will be somewhat more of a story time series, long story short, moral of the story, and be sharing with you my encounters that I experience in dating in Los Angeles. I don't date often, but when I do, it usually makes for a good story. I think everyone's first dates probably make for a good story. But the interesting thing about this is I haven't even gone on a date with this guy. So, moral of the story, the topic is going to be value your time. So without further ado, let's just jump right into it. So about a month and a half ago, I was going to Steak 48 and I was going to meet up with some of my friends for dinner. And while we're waiting for our table, I'm kind of catching up one of my girlfriends with a falling out that I had with another guy that I was seeing. We were not exclusive. We were not boyfriend and girlfriend. We were just kind of casually hanging out. And she had heard that we were no longer an item, if you may, and was just kind of asking me my side of the story. So, I was telling her I think he's a great guy, but, in a lot of ways, we just aren't necessarily compatible. And there's nothing wrong with that. And so we just aren't going to be seeing each other anymore. And I was telling her what I'm looking for in a man and, that I'm not going to settle until I find what I'm looking for, because I don't need to settle, because I'm good on my own. If I find someone worthwhile, great. I'm super open to it and exploring to see where it goes. But in the meantime, I don't need to have somebody just to have somebody. So, after catching her up, I can just feel someone breathing over me and behind me because we're waiting for our table at the bar. And I turn, and it's this guy, older, and I'm like, did you hear that? And he's like, just a little bit. Because if anyone knows me, or for those of you who don't know me, I talk loud. I talk loud. When I'm telling a story or a secret, it's clearly for everybody to hear because I don't know how to adjust my volume. So then I kind of start sharing with him, just telling him, yeah, well, it is what it is. I wish him well. It's not, probably was never ever going to go anywhere to begin with. And, this older, wiser man starts giving me his opinion and his feedback, unsolicited. I didn't ask, but I'm all ears. Talk to me, baby. And he just was like, you need a man. 30, 31, 32. That's still very young when it comes to dating. Obviously, there are 31, 32, 33-year-olds. Obviously, there are people in their 30s that are much more mature and have kind of navigated life to where they're in that point in their life to where they're ready for a partner and they know what it takes to be in a relationship. but most don't. And I was like, totally agree with you. You're spot on. So anyways, our table becomes ready. And I was like, okay, well, it was nice chatting with you. And he was like, I hope it's not the last time. And I walk off to our table and we're sitting there and we're having dinner. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to shoot my shot. Like, he already saw a glimpse of my personality. He knows that I'm loud and unhinged. And he was speaking accurate things on when it comes to being with somebody in a relationship and how age can play a factor. So I got it from the table. Appetizers have only been served. And I go back to him and I'm like, let me get your number. And, we exchange numbers. Ladies, shoot your shot. It may not always work out for you because in this case, at the end of the episode, I think you'll see it didn't really work out for me. But I still think you should shoot your shot. What's the worst someone's going to say? No. I do agree that a man should pursue you because it's super sexy when a man can take initiative and pursue a woman. But, sometimes they just need a little encouragement boost. And once you give them that little boost, then they can handle it from there on out. But if you give them the encouragement boost and you're still the one having to be the initiator, then, that's up to you if that's the type of relationship that attracts you. Personally, I don't mind giving someone a little bit of a, like, I'm interested, and then let them take it from there. If they don't take it from there, probably not for me. But anyways, let's get back on track. Gave him my number. We kind of texted throughout the dinner while he was sitting at the bar and I was sitting at my dinner table. He's Greek. He's 42, I believe. He's very witty, very funny, and this was my first impression of him. So dinner passes, time goes on. He was like, I would like to see you again at some point, and I'm open to it. But this is where the run of show kind of starts. Because while he has a place in Los Angeles and also Miami, so he splits his time between the both, so he's not, always in Los Angeles, he was here for like another 6 days after I'd met him, and he didn't really like take full-on initiative to make a concrete plan. Like, he brought up ideas and concepts of plans, but he never was like, okay, this restaurant, this time, this day. So daydreaming about a plan is not doing it for me. Anyway, so we have like occasional conversation here and there, and we keep in contact, and we had FaceTimed a few times, but just, casual conversation. And he would message me when he was out of town, like when he was in Chicago, when he was in New York. And I'm not really one big for texting. I would rather save it to like meet up in person and discuss, what's been going on in your life in person. But I'll have, a little banter here and there. And so we would have these conversations when he was in Miami or Chicago or Vegas. And then when he was in LA, he would not take any initiative to make a concrete plan. He would mention making plans. He would hypothesize making a plan. He would discuss the possibility of making a plan, but there was never any follow through action with execution. So if somebody that you are engaged with and communicating with, and you're taking your time to entertain them and respond to them and have witty banter, but yet you don't ever make any plans to follow through, quite frankly, I think that's a waste of time. I think that's a waste of your time. I think that's a waste of their time, whether they realized it or not. Maybe they're looking for a pen pal, but you shouldn't be it. Because if you're going to invest even communication with someone, at the end of that, you're assuming there may be a plan. But if there's never initiative taken to make a plan and there's always excuses as to why they can't make a plan, then it's just a waste of time. And if somebody is 42 years old, kind of mentioning how 30-year-olds don't have their life figured out and they're not somebody that's going to be man enough to know what it takes to be in a relationship or protect and provide. And, they're talking a good talk when you initially meet them, but then they themselves have not taken action on what they spoke on, you're a fraud. You are too old to be playing these games. You're too old to be acting like that. You are 42, previously divorced, doesn't have kids, but like, don't preach what you don't practice. You have zero right to be judging somebody else's behaviors in dating if you yourself don't even step up to the plate and make a difference, follow through with a plan, take initiative. You have zero room to be talking. And I will say, I definitely entertained this longer than I would ever suggest anyone to. Because as much as, I was curious about the guy, as twisted as this may be, sometimes I engage longer than I should because in a way, I'm doing clinical research for you guys. I'm trying to understand the psychology of different minds, different mannerisms, different behaviors in dating and relationships. Don't worry, I'm not getting my heart broken along the way. It takes a lot to make it through this mechanical steel engine, but I would never suggest anyone else to entertain someone who always talks about making a plan, mentions making a plan, and even maybe they're like, yeah, Thursday at 7, let's grab dinner. And you're like, cool, sounds good. And then Thursday, 5 o'clock rolls around. You haven't heard from them. In your mind, you have a plan because they asked you if you would like to do something at that time. So you kind of blocked it out, but then you don't hear from them. It's like, once again, a failed plan. Because time is such a limited, valuable resource. And you need to value your time and also value other people's time. But if someone is not valuing your time and valuing the fact that you block out a day and a time for a supposed plan that they end up not executing, then that's just disrespectful. Because if someone's constantly discussing a plan or canceling on you last minute, that shows that they don't have respect for you or your time. I understand that occasionally plans are going to come up and somebody may run late because work ran late, or they may have to cancel because there's an emergency. That's fine. I think everybody should get a grace period and get a cancellation policy of one time and not hold it against them. Life happens. It's okay. But if it continues to happen and it's a reoccurring pattern, then this person does not value your time. They do not value the fact that you have blocked out that time for them. And when they don't follow through, that's time that you could have spent doing other things, but you didn't plan other things because in your mind, you had a plan set on this day and time. Give people a grace period and a cancellation policy of one time, maybe two. But if it continues to happen and they continue to discuss the idea of a plan or make a plan but then not follow through, then you're just wasting your time. And this is time that you can spend doing other things. I don't care how much you like the person, have compatibility with them, have sexual attraction, have great banter and laughs. If you're entertaining this person via text, phone call, FaceTime, and then they're not taking action to actually meet you in person, first off, a lot of people can be a totally different person than they are behind their screen than in person. So you don't even really know how your personalities mesh and if there is actual chemistry. And second off, it's a waste of time. I don't know how many times I'm going to say that in this episode, but it is just a waste of time. Find somebody that wants to meet up with you and make a plan and stick to it. Because those people that continue to hypothesize the idea of a plan and then not actually execute it, and then they do it again, and then they do it again, and then they do it again. You keep giving them chances so they know that they can just cancel, reschedule, not execute a concrete plan. B, I think it gets to the point where they don't even take you seriously and they don't respect you because it's like, okay, let me see how much this person's willing to tolerate. That's obviously not healthy behavior, and it's definitely not healthy coming from a 42-year-old. Grow up. Stop having Peter Pan syndrome. So if you are involved in that and you feel like you're kind of in a rat race of communication with someone, but them not executing a plan, them not taking initiative to meet up, get out of it. Stop even entertaining the person via text. They've already showed you many times that this is who they are, this is the game that they're going to play, and you're not going to entertain it. So if you are involved with someone in that way, shape, or form, cut them loose. Don't entertain it. Because, I mean, not too long ago, probably like 5 days ago, the guy was messaging me and I wasn't really like communicating back with him. And he was like, oh, like not in the mood for banter. And it's like, no. Like, if you want to banter with me, you can meet me in person and you can make a plan and follow through, and then I'll happily banter your face off. But I'm not going to give you banter via text when you can't even give me the decency to make a plan and meet up in person. But when it gets to the point that you're actually, like, they can do this, they can breadcrumb, they can hypothesize plans. But when it gets to the point where they're like, okay, this day and time, you're not even going to take them seriously. You are going to prioritize seeing your mom, seeing your dog, seeing your friends, going to rake leaves in the backyard, sitting home alone and doing a face mask before you actually take their plans seriously. Because it's like the boy who cried wolf. If they're constantly bailing on plans, flaking on plans, not taking initiative, not making a concrete plan, and then for whatever reason, one day they miraculously wake up and they're like, today is the day that I follow through with my plan. You're not even going to take it seriously. I didn't. Guy that I'm talking about, 42 years old. Thursday at 7, dinner. Didn't hear from him. Guess we don't have a plan. Then he was like, oh, got tied up in some things. But tomorrow I'm free. It's like, yeah, right. Okay, sure. I'm not going to hold my breath. And at that point, it's like, I don't even care to, he's like, oh, let's build suspension. It's like, dude, I don't know who you think you are, but I would rather watch paint dry than do something with this guy, to be honest. It's gotten to that point. And that all being said, I feel like I need to probably structure these episodes a little bit better. But then again, I don't want it to be too structured because I just want it to be like me telling you about my dating life as if like we were on FaceTime or sitting across each other at lunch. And sometimes things don't flow in a perfect manner when you're doing that. So, long story short, this guy still messages me and asks to make a plan, which I just don't take seriously. And even if he was dead serious about it, I'm not serious about it because it's gotten to that point where I value my time. I think everybody values their time. And I'm not going to waste my time making a plan with someone who's probably going to bail anyways. So he still messages me, but I've lost interest. And maybe what could have been interest, because it's gone on for so long, it's hit a wall. And my interest is no longer there. Here are some takeaways from all of this. If a man who is in their 40s is putting judgment on someone who's in their 30s, but acts no different, then they're just a total hypocrite. You have no room to speak on other people if you do the exact same thing. Shut your mouth. For texting, if they are constantly wanting to text you for entertainment and communication, but don't ever make a plan to follow through, it's a waste of your time. Don't even entertain them via text. If they are constantly, hypothetically discussing a plan, but there's no follow-through action, there's no execution, there's no commitment, that shows how they would be in dating them. There would be no follow-through, there'd be no execution, there'd be no commitment in dating them. Is that really somebody that you want to be with or even give your time to? Because that's also a form of disrespect from them. They're not valuing your time, effort, and energy, so that's disrespect. They don't respect you or value your time. And if you constantly entertain that behavior, they know they can do it and get away with it because you've tolerated it in the past. So they know that they can continue to do it. And they have no motivation or reasoning to change their efforts. And even if you stop tolerating the behavior, I think it's a them thing and not a you thing. And they're probably just going to still do it, whether it be with you or somebody else. So, save yourself the time, cut them loose. The boy who cried wolf. Engaging with someone on this behavior lessens your trust in this person because you never take anything they say seriously. And so when and if they actually do want to make a plan and commit to it, you're not going to take it seriously. And if, an emphasis on if, after all of this, and you tolerating all this, you do still want to see this person, you should have many backup plans. And those backup plans should come at a higher priority than this person's plan who has canceled on you and rescheduled many times. In addition to everything that I shared in this episode, I forgot to mention one really important key factor. The man is not searchable anywhere on the internet. And, we're in modern society. Everybody Googles everyone now. If you say you don't, you're lying. There's murderers out there, okay? So, you want to kind of get a grasp of who somebody is. So when I Googled him, nothing comes up. And everybody comes up in some shape or form on the internet. You don't have to be a known person to come up on the internet. If this person does not come up on the World Wide Web, something's off. Because it could be a LinkedIn, a Facebook page, an employee of the month at Applebee's. Literally anything. People in bumfuck middle of nowhere, Wyoming, come up on the internet. So when I Googled him, nothing came up. Nothing. Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, nothing. And then my friend, her boyfriend has a paid app where you can put in any phone number and search the person and their name will come up, and it's very factual and accurate because we tried it with me, and it's scary how accurate it is and the things it shares, because as much as we're trying to protect ourselves from the crazy people also have access to this and these apps. So keep that in mind. But his number came up as a landline and his texts go through green, but yet he has an iPhone. So that all is just suspicious to me, and suspicious in a way that I did want to kind of be Sherlock Holmes and meet up with the guy and figure out, who are you? And I don't mean who are you as in, you're a royal king. I mean, what's your deal? Why are you so incognito? So keep that in mind. If nothing comes up on the internet, apart from someone being a failure when it comes to committing to a plan, your safety is at hand when you're going dating. Always go on dates in public places. Don't go back to someone's place until you really feel safe with them and feel like you can trust them and feel like you know them, because there are serial killers out there. There are murderers, and your safety needs to come first before anything else. And if you get a weird sensation, follow your intuition, follow your instinct. don't turn a blind eye to your instinct, because that's how a lot of people get in trouble. They felt it, they didn't listen to it. To wrap all this up, you can tell much more about a person within minutes or weeks of meeting them if you actually open up your eyes and accept the signs you're seeing. Do not brush them underneath the rug or try to justify them, because they're signs for a reason. Pay attention to them. Look alive. Don't make up excuses for people's behavior, and don't tolerate behavior less than what you deserve, because if you tolerate behavior less than what you deserve, then that's what that person's going to give you. And even once you put your foot down to request a better treatment from this other person, because you've already tolerated less than behavior, they're not going to take you seriously. And if someone gives you multiple reasons why plans keep falling through, there's probably a lot going on with them, okay? But what I get from that is that they're clearly disorganized. They don't know how to schedule their days and weeks accordingly. They have very poor time management, and they have a lack of commitment. And I don't even mean commitment in boyfriend and girlfriend, husband and wife. Committing to going to get a coffee. That is a commitment. You're committing to a plan. And I don't think that's somebody that anybody wants to be involved with as a friend, and definitely not a romantic partner. Time is such a valuable asset. It's something that you can never get back. No one's going to respect your time and value your time more than you value it. So when it comes to making plans with friends and family or dates, just keep in mind that this is your time at the end of the day, so choose wisely what you want to do with it, because you're not going to get it back. I think that kind of concludes everything. There's probably a lot more I could talk about. I can ramble on for hours. I can give you literally every single detail, every single text, but that's the lesson to take away from this episode. I will continue to do episodes where I share my personal life, what's going on with dates I've been on, encounters that I've witnessed that I believe other people would take away a valuable lesson from. The moral of the story is, if someone cancels on you once or twice, perhaps let it slide, because we do all have lives and life happens. But if it is a repeated behavior, cut it off. Cut them off. Let them loose. Don't even engage with this person, because they are not worth your time. Your time is much more valuable than that. And entertaining someone of this behavior is taking time away from you where you could probably be doing 100 other better things. Value your time and drop those who don't. And don't think twice when it comes to doing it.
Before we get back to reality, if you're hearing this message, you've listened to the entire episode. And for that, you're iconic. But before we part ways, I hope you enjoyed this episode. And if you did, don't be shy and leave a review. Thirsty for more? Follow Dirty Datini on Instagram and TikTok at Dirty Datini. Oh, and just remember, we're on this journey together. Until next time, stay dirty and stay flirty.